Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing, and today we've got another very interesting combo to try out. I have not tested any of these shells yet, so I'm definitely curious to see what they can do. They very well could perform pretty terribly, but they also could surprise us at the same time. This particular brand has shown us some decent results before, but I still think they're probably going to be pretty limited. I guess it's just going to depend on what this size of buckshot pellet does through our setup today. But as for the ammo we've got today, big thank you to Adam for sending some of these over. This is one of the bunch that he sent here recently. But they are some of these. The Rio Game Load 20 gauge buckshot loads. These are a part of the Rio Royal Buck line as well. We have not tested any Rio 20 gauge buckshot, but in the 20 gauge buck testing we have done, we've only seen one or two decent results. They've been rather particular so far to get to pattern very well. These ones in particular are a 20 gauge 2 3/4 inch 3x3 buckshot. Apparently it's 3/4 ounces worth of payload, and after doing some research, doesn't actually say anywhere on the box what size pellet it is, but they are a 1 buck pellet. It's 9 pellets of 1 buck stacked in 3x3 formation. So a very interesting loading for sure. Maybe it might work well. We have not tested any 1 buck in 20 gauge. Typically a lot of times you either get 2 buck or 3 buck with most 20 gauge shells, but these are a 9 pellet 1 buck, so they might surprise us, although they are loaded pretty cheaply and pretty basically. Because here's what one of those shells looks like, and if you can kind of see down in there, there's no wad, there's no buffer material, the pellets are not plated or anything like that. It's your very standard cheap import load style of loading a buckshot load. Maybe they might do well, they could be terrible at the same time. We're not going to know until we try them, but there might be some potential here. As for the setup we're running today, I brought out my Stevens 301 20 gauge. It's got a 26-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, we're going to be running the Kicks Buck Kicker full choke. My particular one measures at a 604 constriction exactly, for those people who are curious, which is actually more like a modified choke constriction, but they claim it to be a full. And for optics, if you're a regular of the channel, you can see I took the scope off of this gun now that we're getting into turkey season. This is just a $40 basic cheap Amazon special Pinty red dot, but to give it credit, it's lived its life pretty tough and survived a bunch of 12 gauge shooting. It's been on an AR for a long time as well, and it's never had a single problem. It's a little higher than what I would like, so I'll probably change it out at some point, but that's today's setup anyway. But as for today's test, we're going to run it the same as we usually do. I've got a big sheet of paper at 40 yards with the chronograph and the templates that we can lay up over our target. 20 gauge buckshot has struggled out past 30 yards or so, but 40 yards is the baseline standard that I want to go off of, so we're going to see how capable they are out there at that range. So let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll take the shot and we'll see what kind of pattern performance we're able to get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1347 through the chrono. Boss claim is 1345, so we're right on the money there with what we should be seeing. 26-inch barrel with a little bit of choke out of the end. It's always nice to see what the box is actually saying we should be. So looking perfect for a muzzle velocity, but did they give us any sort of usable pattern or not? Let's go check it out and see. Okay, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is probably about what I thought we would see overall. The white dot was the point of aim. The paper is 36 inches wide, and we had 8 of the 9 pellets actually hit the paper, and they're kind of just all over the place. I do think we might have favored a little bit low. This technically isn't the shell that my red dot is zeroed with, so that could be a factor as well, but it's nothing impressive for sure. We don't have any kind of noticeable core area to it. It's just kind of random pellets thrown across the paper more than anything else. We kind of just have one long line diagonally right across there with a couple just strung out around the edges, one down there, kind of 1 or 2 up here in the top right, and one way over here in the top left. I did measure from the 8 pellets that we have on paper, we have a 36-inch spread, and that is the farthest 2 points across from that top left pellet down to that very bottom right pellet. So not at all what I would ideally want to see anyway if I'm going to hunt with these. Now 40 yards for 20 gauge buckshot, that's probably starting to get out there into a little bit longer range for it. 12 gauge buck, 40 yards is seemingly no problem at all. Most average shells are plenty capable of getting a decent pattern at 40 yards. And of course, if you shot these at 20 yards, it would be much tighter of a pattern for sure. But if we want to hold these to the same standard we hold everything else, it isn't super impressive, at least not for our first test with them through that kicks choke. Now, I do have some templates out here, but some of them are just not going to tell us a lot of information when we got that broad of a pattern. So I'll throw the deer template up and we'll just see what it looks like if you did just take this shot out on a hunting scenario and never tested your combo before you just took it out in the woods. So here is that deer template. Since the majority of our pattern seems to have favored low, I did give it the benefit of the doubt, give it the best chance it had, and move the deer template down a little. We did have 5 pellets that would have hit the deer. A couple of them are right through the heart or bottom of the lung area there, and we got one a little bit farther back, maybe liver area. So is that a dead deer at 40 yards? Yes, it would be. Is it ideal? Definitely not. And I don't know that I would trust this off of just one shot to reliably take deer out to 40 yards. So not entirely surprised, really, seeing as though how these are a cheap import load and how they're loaded is the big thing. No wad, no buffer material, no plating, just buckshot pellets sitting in a shell with a little gas seal underneath of them over top of the powder. That's it. That shows you right there why having those extra components can really make a difference. So really not too surprised. Technically it would do the job, but it's not good, at least not through that particular choke. I do have a couple other chokes I want to try it through, as well as I want to take the standard lineup of stock flush chokes from like cylinder through full or extra full and try that, see what choke constriction it seems to like best as well. So maybe it's worth testing it like that as well if that's something you want to see, but not really overly impressed here to start off with. Maybe we can dial them in a little better, a little more constriction might not hurt. I guess we'll see what happens as we continue to test them. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that result right there? Not exactly what I was hoping to see, but it's probably about what I expected to see. There's always the potential that we can get surprised with shells like that. Some of them aren't terrible for what they are, but other ones just aren't that great. They're a basic range day load type of deal, and that's probably about what these are as well. Obviously, if you took a closer shot than that, 20, 25 yards, it's going to be plenty capable. It's going to have a tighter pattern. And if you wanted to use these in a home defense scenario, 7 and 10 yards or so, it's going to be plenty effective for that case as well. But for a deer hunting load where shots may be farther than 20 yards, 25, 30, 35 to 40 yard range is pretty common. That is just not quite going to reliably do it good enough for my taste anyway. Technically it would have done the job, but it's not ideal. So now we got to try it through some different chokes and see what happens. Maybe we can dial them in, or maybe these are just kind of what they are. They're what you see, and that's just kind of what you're going to get. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Rio 20 gauge buckshot loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combo you would ever use out there on a hunt? Or is this kind of just a cheap range day load for you? And what other choke combos do you want to see us run these shells through? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.